Hey everyone, I know this is kind of a weird thing to do a video on, but I mean it's something that it's been throughout my life. I've known a lot of people who believed it, and it's this whole Illuminati thing. I have a friend who is a conspiracy theorist. I mean he's a cool guy, and he's onto this crazy ass notion that there's this small group of people running the fucking world. All this shit about the fucking Freemasons, every fucking Masonic temple. There's a church right across the street, which isn't true, by the way. There's one here in Ohio, pretty close to me, that there's no church across the street. So, that kind of destroys the argument. But, I mean, it seems like his whole family's into this whole notion. And, I don't get it, there are so many people, like, I've made comments on videos, of people who, believe all that shit, and pretty much what they tell me is, well, they don't just tell me, they're pretty much telling the world, we're gonna survive with these tactics that we learn, and, I made a comment on one of theirs, said, so you're going to survive pretty much a hostile takeover of the world with tactics. And they say, no, we're gonna stay off their fucking grid. By going on the fucking internet? And the thing that really fucks me up the most is that, they really believe this. They read books like Behold a Pale Horse, even though none of that shit's come true. There's supposed to be this new United States and all that shit. It's usually people that hang out at the fucking gun shows. And other shit's come true. But they still believe it. But my question is, and it's kind of, I think, a good question, if this shit is true, then why is the information out there? Because I heard some of the other people who believe this, my friend and another guy who's fucking whacked out. I'll tell you a little something about him. This guy, he had the theory about the lizard people. People have heard that, from Gorilla 199. And, he talked about the Star of David was supposed to represent pretty much Earth. That the humans, we start out as a people called Aryans. And that's where they got the name. And then, that was supposed to be the upward triangle. Because that's what a Star of David is, two triangles. And the downward one, I forget the fucking name he used for these fucking lizard people. This guy, he also thinks that the government stole his fucking thoughts. He found some weed in his jacket or some shit, and he smoked it, and he said he started remembering shit that, he hadn't remembered for a long time. It's like, well, everyone fucking does that. But he says the government stole his thoughts, but that pot put those thoughts back into his head. Because it was from that time where the government stole his thoughts. And, this information, supposedly this same guy, he didn't tell me this, someone else told me that, he was downloading shit from a site called InfoWars, which I guess is some conspiracy theorist site with all that shit. And he was downloading something to print it off, and all of a sudden, computer is just dead. Everything about the computer is dead. And supposedly he took it to a fucking computer place that fixes them, and they said his drive was completely wiped, and he had to buy a new computer. It's like, okay, if they can do this, then why the fuck is there any information on any of this shit? Couldn't they stop that if they did in fact rule the world? Think about it. If they ruled the world, they could stop any flow of information about this, especially if it's fucking true. Croesusborg just recently made a video about, how the Illuminati wants to fucking turn Jupiter into a second sun and all this shit. And none of these theories really make sense. It's like, okay, some conspiracy theories, I can see, where people are coming from, the Kennedy assassination. It's like, yeah, maybe there's some foul play in that. But, other things, like, the 9/11 truthers, it's like, pretty much everything they've said has been proven false. But they still maintain this shit, and I just don't get it. And, I'm not trying to say they're stupid people. It seems like they have a lot of thoughts and they think about shit. But they could be using that intelligence for something else. Instead of this bullshit about how everything's a fucking conspiracy. Why is it that every time they see something, it is a fucking conspiracy? It is. Oh, well, it's because of this. Look at this. George Bush was put in power by the Illuminati. And Barack Obama was too. I know Yoke Up and his fucking wife on his old channel, they made that video saying, oh, the Illuminati wants Obama in there. A lot of nasty stuff's gonna happen. And then, the Illuminati put Hitler into power. What if they put him into power? Then why the fuck did he lose his power? That's my fucking question. Oh, but he was set up as something. Whatever. It's like, come on, people. If you really believe this shit, it takes a lot of thought and research. You could be doing this thought and research into something beneficial, not some bullshit conspiracy theories.